Hello everyone. Uh, how are you today? I hope that everything is alright. Could you tell me please whether you can see and hear me? Yeah, just write a line in this chat box, yeah, whether you can hear and see me, yeah? And also write whether everything is alright, yeah? How was your day and so on. Because then of course we can start the webinar. I don't know whether you feel the same, but last day is like really boiling and I am almost dying, but not fully. I am still alive. So I hope that we'll, let's say, be together until the end of this webinar as well. Cornelia, can you tell me whether you can hear and see me properly? Or anyone? Yeah. So once again, hello everyone, can you hear and see me properly? Please write in the chat box, yeah? So everything is alright, yeah, Cornelia? Okay, so if yes, I think that we can start. So I will start, of course, from a short introduction of myself. So I'm Tom, and today I'm the host, yeah, of this webinar. Yeah, something about me. So similarly, I hope that some of you attended my webinars before, so maybe they more or less know me a little bit, yeah. So I'm an English teacher like for I know more than 4 years, and I try to use both traditional and, let's say, digital approach in teaching. And because of that, I work here for Tutlo, but also for some language schools. So I also provide some remote classes. Yeah, so I try to use different kinds of methods in teaching. Apart from that, of course, I also love languages. So I also studied Japanese and German a little bit. So I tried very hard, like, to learn regularly, which I really recommend to you. Yeah. Okay. So what we are gonna talk about today. So this webinar will be kinda easy, quite simple, but because we're gonna talk about work mostly. Hello, Slavek. Yeah, so we are gonna talk about work mostly. So the problems that you might face at work, and the most common matters that may appear in a workplace. Yeah. So we are gonna cover the vocabulary related to these kind of issues, the problems at work. Yeah, and then of course I will give you some example sentences of it, or how to manage with a customer, or maybe how to manage in office when you've got a role with your colleague, because it happens. Yeah. So we'll discuss these kind of things. And as well, there will be some kind of quiz question for you, whether you understood the materials, the webinar, and maybe a little bit of discussion, because I'm curious what's your opinion about, let's say, a small issue. But this will be at the end of this webinar. What is important, this webinar will take around 25 minutes from now. And at the end, there is like short poll with 2 questions that I would love you guys to answer, because these questions help me to develop even further. Okay, I think that we can start this webinar. So let's show you the presentation here. So as you can see, today we're gonna discuss about the problems, yeah, at work. You see, here's like a table or desk, some chairs, yeah, probably a lot of problems, yeah. Any ideas what kind of problems we can face at work? What can be a problem at work? Some most common problems that you face, guys, yeah, at work. Yeah, I've got many in my working experience, a lot of problems, yeah. So the first one is like problem with colleagues, yeah, it happens, or maybe with a boss or managers, they don't understand your needs, or maybe you feel undervaluated, yeah, or underestimated, or maybe you work too long. It also happens, yeah, that you have a lot of overtime and you just go back home like tired and everything. And so we've got like feeling underestimated or undervalued, some kind of conflicts at workplace, yeah. And sometimes we are not paid enough, yeah. There's also a problem when we've got qualification or skills, but they don't pay enough, yeah. And sometimes there is something like a lack of training. So for example, our colleagues don't know enough about something that they should already know, or maybe we would like to go to some course or something like that, but they don't want to send us to it, yeah. So these kind of problems we are gonna discuss today, yeah. Okay, so the first one, so the conflicts, yeah. So we'll talk about the conflicts from two sides, how to manage with them, yeah, how to solve conflicts, how to make it better, yeah. So the first side's about the customers. So here you can see some useful phrases that you could use to a customer, toward customer, so that the situation would be better with this customer, yeah. So for example, I would be happy to help you with this, yeah. I will be happy to help you with this. So for example, imagine that your customer got problem, for example, to open the attachment, or for example that let's say there was some kind of problem with delivery, yeah. So I will be happy to help you with this, yeah. You can always let's say send something like that in an email, or just say why not, it will be like really polite. And when we don't know something, it's always, I know that it's not so good to let's say admit that we did something wrong, but sometimes it shows us, let's say, in some different perspective, yeah. Some maybe it gives better impression of us, yeah. So for example here, I don't know, but I will find out for you, yeah. So I don't know exactly what happened with delivery, but I will find out for you as soon as possible, yeah. This is important, I mean, time for our customers. And the last one is like thanking things, yeah. So like thanking our customers. So thank you for letting me know about this situation. So we receive some kind of complaint, yeah, complaint from the customer. So we are just thanking for letting us know that this kind of situation happened. So here you've got about the customer, yeah. Sometimes we can also add something like, I would be grateful if you could send me more details about this issue, yeah. It's especially, I mean, it's very often used in a formal correspondence, when used, for example, some kind of mails or whatever, yeah. And the second scenario, yeah, when we've got office, we've got also some kind of problems with our colleagues, with managers, or yeah, different people at work, yeah. So we see that someone got a problem with something. What can I do to support you? Yeah, what can I do to support you? I think it would be really nice to hear such a thing from time to time, yeah. Okay, the second one. We are discussing something very vividly, but unfortunately it's really difficult to persuade this person, yeah? So, you know what? I understand your point of view, but I see it differently. And then we explain how we feel or how we see the, let's say, this matter, how we can solve the problem in a different way. And the last one is not so polite, maybe a little bit too direct, but you are saying one thing and doing another. It's like, it means that person, instead of doing his or her work, does something else, yeah, instead of that. I think it'll be like too direct. So only, let's say, in a situation where it's really serious, when we are fed up and we don't want to talk to this person too much more because our arguments are not working anymore. Okay, so here we've covered the conflict zone, yeah? Let's move on to feeling undervaluated. I mean, it's really common that we feel that we are not appreciated enough at work. So the only thing is to say, I mean, about it to the manager or team leader or whatever. This is the only option. But how can we say it? Yeah, how we can use what kind of words? Yeah. So here, with the help of new vocabulary, yeah. So, for example, many women undervalue themselves and also the way they look. Undervalue, so they don't appreciate enough themselves. Yeah. So I think that I undervalued my skills the last time that I applied for this job. I should say some. I mean, I think that higher salary expectations. Yeah. Next one. His boss had no right to degrade him this way. Yeah, degrade. So to treat as this degrade is like making your level, your grade lower. Yeah. So instead of treating as a specialist, yeah, treating you like a junior specialist. Yeah. So like degrading you. And the last one. Never underestimate what children can do. Yeah, especially for each other. But it's not only about children, yeah? Don't underestimate people at work because sometimes they can be really supportive, yeah? So here we've got three words: undervalue, underestimate. These two words are quite similar, and degrade, yeah? To express that we don't feel, let's say, that we feel under, let's say, not appreciated and enough at workplace, yeah? Okay, so next issue that I mentioned was like long working hours. A lot of, I think that all of you know this problem very well, yeah? That you work long hours, overtime, you feel like exhausted, worn out completely. So, yeah, you know the feeling. But how to tell, let's say, your boss that you feel this way, yeah? So, this is it, yeah? So, here you've got we work overtime to fulfill a big order. Work overtime, so it means that you work more than you should. So, for example, I work a lot recently, so I did a lot of overtime. Yeah. So this is like the explanation. Overtime, so something that is above the time that you should spend at work. Next one, I'm absolutely worn out. Yeah. So imagine you work so, let's say, so strongly, so effectively, and now you are just feeling tired. Yeah. So our expression is like, I'm absolutely worn out. Yeah. So you are tired. Yeah. The overtime, next one is that overtime allowance. Yeah. So this is the money that boss or supervisor pay to you if you do overtime. So they pay for these additional hours. Yeah. So here you've got example of that, yeah. So that they pay this overtime allowance, yeah, for every hour that you spent above the limit, yeah. Low pay. I mean, low pay. It's like I think that a lot of you like expected like high salary at the beginning, and later it turned out that the employer said something like lower, like 1,000 lower or 500 lower that you expected. Yeah. So how to manage with that? Yeah. There is of course something to help you. Yeah. So we got here some expression. The first one is underpaid. Yeah. So for example, I feel underpaid. Oh my god, I had to be paid around, I don't know, 100 zloty for hour, but I'm paid only 50. It's really unfair, yeah? The second one, how do you make a living, yeah? Make a living, it means to be able to just live from your salary, yeah? To manage, let's say, to live from your salary. Make a living, it means that you earn enough to live, yeah. So how do you make living in this context? It means what do you do, yeah, what kind of profession you do, yeah. And the last one that is really common, especially in movies, wherever, in series, I was that broke here, yeah. So like completely broke. I am broke. So it means that I don't have any money and I should look for some, yeah? Or maybe borrow from my parents, or maybe from my neighbor, or maybe from my friend. Yeah, so this is the case. If you are dead broke, or if you are broke, it means that you don't have any money. Yeah, so this kind of phrases. And the next one is related to lack of training. So this was like the last example that I mentioned. That's really important, especially when we feel that we are lacking some skills, that we are not skilled enough, and we want this training. Please, boss, could you send me for I don't know, Excel course or something like that? And you hear something like, maybe not yet. I think that we need to spend more time on some other things, and then we'll invest more in training on Excel. And then, yeah, you can imagine your face, yeah? So some expressions, yeah? How to express, yeah? That you are feeling the lack of training. So for example, I feel unqualified, or some people in my workplace are unqualified, yeah? So this means that they are not qualified enough for the job, yeah? So they need to get some qualifications, yeah? The next one is good at, yeah? So being good at, so for example, I am good at languages, or I am good at, I don't know, singing. I am good at working in this area, yeah? So this also is nice. Or the opposite, I am bad at time management. So why don't you sign me to a course? Yeah, why not? And the last one, empty suit. This one is kinda more advanced. Empty suit is a person who is, let's say, like higher in hierarchy, so like manager, team leader, but they don't have enough. I mean, they're not qualified enough for their position. So I like my boss. He's so funny, but I think that he's an empty suit. I think that he shouldn't be my boss, but like a specialist only. Yeah, just empty suit. It means like empty suit. So empty means nothing. So no knowledge. Yeah. So in this case, this one is I don't know, guys. You know this glass ceiling from somewhere? Any of you? You know this? Let's say expression. I mean, it's kind of popular, especially when we talk about women. Any of you know this this expression, and maybe could explain it to me? Because here is, of course, explanation, because we've got the sentence, yeah, so it's much easier, but I'm waiting for some clarification from you. Maybe some of you are already familiar with this expression. Have you ever heard of it? Like any time in your life, like glass ceiling? As you can see in the picture, we've got glass. Yeah, a ceiling that is made of glass, yeah? So it's rather about the situation of women, yeah? That they are undervalued, that they are not treated well enough. So glass ceiling is the limits that women face at workplace. But not mostly in workplace, but not only, mostly in workplace, yeah? So this is glass ceiling. Apart from glass ceiling, we face with the discrimination. Discrimination is a huge problem, yeah? Discrimination is a huge problem. This is also the same as in Polish. I mean, discrimination, or in some, it's similar also in some other languages. What kind of discrimination do you know? Could you write in a, let's say in a chat box, what kind of discrimination we can face? Here you see an example with racial discrimination, yeah? You see like 4x, 3 are white, and 1 is, let's say, darker. This is like racial discrimination, yeah, because 1 is, let's say, almost black. It happens, unfortunately. Some other kinds of discrimination that you know? Because of the age, so it's called age discrimination, yeah? And we've got not really race discrimination, but rather racial discrimination. So instead of E at the end, there is I, L, E, and L, yeah? racial, I will paste there, is like racial discrimination. Yeah, it happens also from time to time, as we can see here. Yeah, so racial discrimination, age discrimination, and sex discrimination. Yeah, by gender, it also happens, and religious, of course. So we've got a lot of types of discrimination, but what can we do? We can only, let's say, fight against that let's say phenomenon at workplace, yeah, to make it better, and harassment. I don't know whether you're familiar what is harassment. The most common, as it's written here, is sexual harassment. So it's, let's say, like threatening someone or offending someone, or this person feels not so secure at workplace. So it's like sexual harassment when we talk about sexual things, yeah. But it can be just harassment when someone just treated us unfairly, just offend us too much, yeah. So it is just harassment, yeah, and this is also quite common. And right now, I've got a question to you. Maybe not question, but what would you do in this situation? You have too much work and you don't think you will be able to meet your deadlines. So what would you say to your supervisor? I'm waiting for your ideas. What would you say to your supervisor in this situation? Like, any ideas how to face with, or maybe how to change your deadlines and so on? What kind of phrase you could use? What normally you use to, let's say, persuade your job to change the deadlines? Any ideas? Yeah, you would ask him for extra time. Yeah, I think it's a good idea because you feel too much pressure, for example. So nice, Sławek and Magdalena. Okay, I hope that it is gonna change, because it's really important that supervisor cares about you and your time, and they should, let's say, put off or put forward some of the deadlines. Just change the date of them, yeah, because it's really important that you feel just nice at work, yeah, comfortable, because it's the place that you spend a lot of time in, yeah. So it's like obvious. I don't know, some other ideas. Yes, yeah, it happens with supervisor. You never know let's say, what kind of supervisor we will meet in your future, yeah, or yeah, in the present time. Okay, I think that's mostly it. So right now, I think it's time to wrap up our webinar. But Q&A session. So do you have any questions related to this topic, like what kind of problems we can face at workplace, or maybe some questions related to vocabulary that maybe turn up during the webinar? Any questions to me? Yeah, and by the way, that's what you mentioned, Magda, yeah? There is even some kind of terminology, nomenclature for different kinds of balls, yeah, nowadays. And you never know. Sometimes it's just better to change, yeah? Because you never know whether you will meet maybe someone better, yeah? Someone, let's say, less rude. Yeah, you never know. Okay, so if there is no question, I think that we can, let's say, finish this webinar. So let me quickly summarize what we did today. We covered, let's say, some vocabulary related to problems at work. We mentioned some, let's say, vocabulary related let's say, overtime, like working for too long time, and what else? Some kind of conflicts and so on. And then I gave some examples, and we all discussed a specific issue. Yeah. After this webinar, it should be clear to you how to discuss this kind of thing. So I hope that you will use some of these phrases in your normal life, but how to do it. I mean, it's really important because right now I will paste a link for you. You can practice, let's say, these words more, yeah, after this webinar. And I really encourage you sometimes to click reply, because I don't know whether you write down the vocabulary that I mentioned, but I think that it's really important to write down the vocabulary that is mentioned during the webinars. If you don't do so, please try to do it, because we also learn in this way. And regularity. Webinars are not everything. Try to learn regularly. So right now I'll run 2 poll questions to you, whether you enjoyed the webinar and so on. Yeah. So the first one is almost out. And the second question. Okay, so now please follow us on social media. Yeah, we are on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. You can find us almost everywhere. And what I would like to say, thank you so much for today. I hope you will see some of my, I've got webinars also next week about past continuous from what I remember. So I hope that you will enjoy it. There will be a lot of practice and so on. Yeah. So if you've got some, or if you're curious what's going to happen there, yeah, feel welcomed. Yeah. So thank you so much for your attention, and see you soon, I hope. Yeah. Have a nice Friday. You too, Sławek. Thank you so much.